Alright. Dead Space 3. Just now finished beating the game, so here's my little informal, from the heart pseudo review. The graphics in the game, they were pretty good. Loved the environments of the game. Like when in the beginning of the game, when you were flying in space, when you got to the icy planet, all that was cool. The monsters, I liked how graphic they made them look. I liked the fact that they didn't have an overabundance of different varieties, but there was different varieties with them. You were fighting people and humans too, so that was a plus. I wish they'd have had more of that throughout the game. Like, let's say, like, the unitologists were on the planet, so while you were going around throughout the different bases and the buildings and the facility, you had to deal with the humans who didn't want you there too. You know what I'm saying? Rather on top of the aliens that was there. I wish I'd have, seen that. The story of the game. The story of the game was, it was cool. I kind of liked it. After part 2, the markers have always had this kind of mysticism behind them. And what I mean by that is, in part 1, when you played it, they were like, oh, look, we found this, this alien thing. And they was like, no, it's not alien, it's man-made. It was cool because it was like, oh, shit, this is man-made? It's like, but we never came here before and all of this shit. So you didn't know where the markers came from. It had that mysticism behind, like, why did it mutate bodies and all that shit. I mean, maybe they explained that in, like, a Dead Space book that I haven't read, if they got books for it. Because I know I played the first game, I played the second game, this would be the third game, and I seen both of the animes that they made off of it. And they kind of told the character perspectives and things, but they didn't dive into, like, why did the markers mutate people? I can't remember a reason for that. It's just if you died or the marker made you flip out, go crazy, start killing people, and eventually when you died, your bodies came back and mutated into these fucked up undead creatures, because they weren't aliens. They were just transformed people. And I think a lot of people who see Dead Space, they think, oh, you're fighting aliens. No, you're not fighting aliens in the game, you're fighting people. I said, not until at the end of this one where you're actually fighting the remnants of aliens and shit. But I wish they'd have kind of went more into the markers, but at the same time, if they told too much about them, then they would lose that flair of mysticism and attraction behind it. So maybe they've written themselves into a corner too, because at the end of the day, like, the markers were that unknown. In part 1, they were the unknown. In part 2, it was kind of like, oh no, they're rebuilding it, so I gotta take out the threat. You know what I'm saying? And in this one, they kind of explained them, so it's like, it's not a hidden reason, it's not that unknown anymore. And at the same time, they had to think of a story, because when you think of a story, they never explained it really in part 2. They just said, okay, the unitologists were trying to rebuild it. And then you stopped them again. So they had to think of a story in this game. They couldn't just rehash the same idea. So, I mean, maybe they kind of written themselves into a corner. Like, a marker, like, I still don't see how the markers were a threat to humanity. I mean, if humanity never found the marker homeworld, and they even said that wasn't the marker homeworld, but if the guy never found that planet, never turned off the ice to allow, the creature to wake up and activate all the markers at once, like a halo effect, then the markers weren't a threat. Just don't live near a marker to be transformed and to be fucked up, and to don't let it fuck with your head and make you go crazy. It wasn't a universal threat until they went to stop the threat from happening, and then because they were the ones who found the planet, they're the ones who started the whole thing back up. Because if Isaac and the crew never went to that planet, yeah, people found out about it. The unitologists didn't know about it, and the only people who knew about it, the only humans who knew about the planet, were trying to stop it from the floor. The Earth government military killed them all on the planet, and then killed themselves. So nobody knew about the shit. They could have just left the shit alone. The markers wouldn't have been a threat to humanity. If they just didn't build around the markers, they'd have been cool. But, I mean, I guess, they had to make a game, so they had to, throw in some kind of story. But it was cool. The game, to me, was predictable as hell. When it came down to the story, when it came down to the characters, I mean, maybe I'm getting old. I mean, I'm 29, about to be 30 this year. So when I play a game like this, it's predictable. I mean, I'm not even talking about the characters, but they're predictable. But I'm talking about in like the gameplay. Like I'm going down a section of hallway and it's nothing here. It's like, okay, something's gonna jump out, and then bam, it jumps out. That's what I mean by predictable. You know, it's just the whole game was like that. I was predicting certain events, like, okay, this is gonna happen, and then it happened, and I was like, oh well, you know, whatever. I kind of expected that to happen. So it kind of took away the element of surprise, and I'm not a person that gets scared off of these kind of games. But if I was, then if you can predict the scare happening, that's half the event right there. So you wouldn't like it nowhere near as much as if, let's say, the game, you know, if you as if you was completely unaware of something about to happen to you. The music in this game was good. The characters, I liked all the characters. Besides, I didn't like the captain guy. He was probably written in to be the asshole of the team, but I just didn't like his personality from the get-go. Even if he wasn't written as the asshole, I didn't like him. Carver was okay at the end. It seemed like I played solo, so the co-op features of the game felt kind of from the co-op side of things. I don't know if they change. I know they have co-op story missions and stuff like that, and optional missions, but the co-op of the game, or his character in general. Let me say that, because I played co-op, so, but his co-op character felt shoehorned in the solo aspect of the game. I don't know if that changes in co-op. I mean, it probably doesn't matter because he's there with you the whole time as a buddy of yours is playing him. But they tried to keep him in certain cutscenes and stuff in the solo game, but it just felt awkward the whole time. Like, they could have just cut his character completely out, had him only shown in cutscenes like the captain guy with the rest of the team, and then kept the story the same, because that's what it felt like. He would pop up in a cutscene, like he would just teleport behind you and walk up in a cutscene and be like, hold on, where the fuck was you at? And then, like, when something go down, you know, he'd be like, oh, I got separated from you. It's like, why even go through that? Just cut his character cutscenes out and only have him in the cutscenes when you had with Ellie and the captain and the one black chick or whatever. Only have him in those. And then have him be like, Isaac, go off and do this, and be like, okay, and then leave. And then, but if you play co-op, then that's when you have him in there, because it made for a lot of transitions that made no sense. Like in the first mission of the game, when you were the one guy and your task was to get the codex, and you went to codex, climbed down the cliff, and then you blew your brains out. The military guy blew your brains out. The cutscenes of the game were written from a solo perspective, and then they had the co-op stuff on top of it inserted in certain areas. And what I mean by it makes it awkward is, at that moment at the beginning of the game, when the guy get down with the codex and the military guy, you love Earth, son, and all this, and he giving you a speech, and he pulls out the gun and blow your brains out, he blows his own brains out right there after it. That's fine. But if you're playing on co-op, there's two guys there. He only shoots you. He doesn't shoot the co-op partner at all. Because I think I've seen a video about it online where, I watched the first mission of somebody playing co-op, and he shoots the one guy still and then shoots himself. And during that cutscene, his co-op partner just like disappears. It's weird. It's those events like that just is like, hold on, well, what happened to the other guy I was with? You could tell that it wasn't made specifically for co-op in mind. I would have rather them make the game, made it for co-op, and then just have your buddy, if he wants to jump in your game, he can. Make it like Army of Two, where and then you have the AI guy. Even if you want to isolate yourself and don't want the AI guy to be in the game like that from a solo gameplay perspective, if they could have had you as Isaac, play through the game with him, show him running with you, and then it gets to let's say halfway into a mission, you have to complete a puzzle, and then you have to send him off to do something to complete the puzzle, and then have him come back to open a door for you or something like that. So that way you have to progress some part through levels without him being there. They could have written it like that. But maybe co-op was was an afterthought when they made it, so I don't know. But it just felt kind of shoehorned in there. The The sound design was pretty good. I can't claim I really loved any music from the game. I can't claim that I really hated any music from the game. It had a lot of it had a lot of musical scores that fit the game. You know what I'm saying? It fit what you saw on screen. I can't be mad at that. The level design was really good. I know I already touched on the icy planet and the space part, but the facilities on the icy planet, they all got kind of repetitive after a while. But I love the alien structures and the last 2 or 3 missions of the game. I liked how everything was all dark and alien looking, and you even had the little predator door open, the door opening glyphs and stuff. So that was cool. It was different. What I didn't like about that was how every time you got to one of those predator doors and you had to input the little code and you had to figure it out, they gave you the code right there. It was like almost as if like the last 2 missions of the game, they just stopped trying. They just, instead of making you find each puzzle piece in order to open the door, like you had to find the symbols and then open the door. Instead of making you find it, they just gave them to you. And I didn't like that. It was like an easy one-off. It was an easy way out, and I don't see why they did that. But other than that, I mean, the game was a good game. A lot of people always harp about how it's too actiony and not survival horror, which is true. But it was cool. I mean, I can't say I didn't have fun playing the game. At the end of the day, I mean, every game changes. Every franchise changes. And you as a gamer have to adapt and grow with the gaming franchise. And if you don't like it, don't play it. That's just the way it is. I have a couple friends who are, into Halo and they don't like Halo 4, or there's people who don't like the newer Call of Duty out. And it's just like, well, okay, well, don't play them. You either learn to adapt to play this game or you don't. So, there's always going to be people who like Dead Space as a franchise, and even some people who really liked what it stood for at the beginning who don't like what it stands for at the end. And if they can't learn to deal with that or to adapt with that, to play it and find some enjoyment out of it, then it's not for them. But I found enjoyment out of the game. I don't feel like I went into it thinking like, okay, I just want them to continue part 2. That's it. I didn't go in there expecting to be, oh man, I want this to be the most scary survival horror game I ever played. No, because that's not what it was after part 1. I didn't even think part 1 was that scary. But anyway, I'm just rambling on at this point. All right, let me get out of here. I know I'm kind of late with finishing out Dead Space, but I've been playing some other games that just recently came out. So, if you came to my review for my Let's Play, let me know how you like it. Or if you're just checking out review, if you want to see something new on YouTube, then check out my Let's Play of the game. I did a whole Let's Play of it. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Rate and comment if that's what you want to do down there in the comment box and all that good stuff. I don't know what my next game is going to be. I'm leaning towards Tomb Raider, but I'm not feeling it. But I don't mind doing it if you guys want to see it. So, it's not going to hurt me one way or the other. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.